Yo, throughout the centuries, secular society had narrow notions of gender roles. For instance, men did not do women's work, and women did not take any masculine leadership role. Especially rigid was the rejection of homosexual relationships and behavior. And what was unheard of was flamboyant homosexuals flaunting their perversions in front of children. If they were lucky, they would only be run out of town on a rail, and rightfully so. Churchgoers were even more dogmatic in these views. And back then, 1. Sexual abuse of children by churchgoers was practically unheard of, plus 2. There were never any background checks conducted for anyone in any church position. But then secular society, while still rejecting homosexuality, began to loosen as to quote-unquote non-sexual gender roles. The universal church then began to follow secular society's lead here instead of being the light to it. Then secular society began to accept homosexuality, then embrace it, then push it down people's throats. The universal church then began to follow secular society's lead here instead of being its light. Now, 1, there have been many cases of sexual abuse of children by churchgoers, plus 2, despite regular background checks. Now, roughly speaking, 95% of secular society supports men in daycare, 75% approve of women leading men, 70% support same-sex marriage, and 29% are okay with lascivious drag queens interacting with children. And roughly speaking, 75% of churchgoers support the idea of men in daycare, 49% approve of women as head pastors, 40% support same-sex marriage, and a few churches have incorporated drag queens into services. Everyday gender roles are intimately connected with the question of GLBTQPXYZ, since they are both gender issues. And this is a true slippery slope, slipping us down to hell. As for groups that support the grocer perversions, they're no longer churches and should have their buildings bulldozed into the ground. Therefore, I would withhold all financial contributions from any church group that even has one man leading their daycare or a woman preacher, even part-time. Another reason to do that is because it's a waste of churchgoers' money to do background checks on everyone when disallowing men with the daycare would make that unnecessary. That's because all women's physicality is quasi-equivalent to a eunuch. Disagree equals you've been brainwashed. And background checks cannot weed out all potential predators because all sexual violators started out with a clean record at one time. This should be common sense. Some preachers insist that instead of focusing on criticizing the church, congregants should learn from it and correct their own sins. And I agree with that. However, when the universal church can no longer get the basics down of acknowledging the God-revealed differences and stipulations between men and women, why trust her modern incarnation to guide me in anything else? So first, a restoration needs to be had, conforming to Christ's revealed church of the first century. Recommended reading, A Dictionary of Early Christian Beliefs, David W. Burkott, editor.